Hi, my name is Melanie, and my topic is displacement due to war, as we see in July's People, and basically the idea of what people lose when displacement happens. So the book came out in 1981, and it was actually Nadine Gordimer's prediction of how the apartheid in South Africa would eventually end. And the apartheid was racial segregation between the majority, which was the South African blacks, and the minority, which is the South African whites. And I think there is a big disparity between these groups that we can actually see in the book July's People. And I think you can see it in the way that the Smails live. Their lifestyle before they leave Johannesburg is, they live in luxury, basically. And you can see that through the possessions they have, the fact that they have a servant to take care of their house and do their cleaning. And I think you can see the difference between that and the way they live when they move to where July's village is and when they live with his family. So the idea basically of the book is that this war in South Africa has completely displaced his family. And I think we can actually even refer to recent examples of displacement due to war in parts of the Arab Spring that have recently occurred, such as Syria and Libya, where people are basically forced to leave where they live. And I think people stuck in the middle are at a particular disadvantage because they don't want to stay and fight. They don't want to become a casualty of war, but they also don't want to lose everything they have. And it ends up being that the third option, to lose everything they have, is the best option. I think this is kind of how things came about for the Smails. They decided that to leave is the best option they have. They can't stay and fight. They have 3 small children to take care of. And I think that's a completely different mentality when you have someone else to care for. It's not as though Bam is the only one or Maureen is the only one. They have 3 children to take care of. So the first half of the book kind of focuses on what they used to have. And I think that's interesting because I think that what you have or what you put a lot of emphasis into can say a lot about who you are. So what they had before, the fact that the book says, it talks about how they had July as a servant and how he was always calling Bam master, despite the fact that they didn't want him to, or that he was always serving tea or, doing chores for them while they were gone on vacation. The things that they put emphasis into were luxurious things that they don't have now that they live with July's family. So I think it's interesting to see the difference of what they had versus what they have now. And a big part of that is what they decide to bring when they come to live with July's family. So they bring some clothes, Bam's shotgun, a few toys and personal items, such as Maureen brings a book. They end up bringing the radio, which is extremely important for updates about the war, a suitcase of money, and they also travel in the yellow Bakkie, which is a truck that had a back on it. And so that's what they came in, and that's all they had. I think the first half of the book shows, how they went from having so much to having so little, basically, because the whole idea that they had so much before and this is what they chose to bring is interesting because they lose a lot in, deciding what to bring. And I think the most important is that they lose a sense of security. Before the fighting started in Johannesburg, they obviously lived a very good life. So now that they're living in a dangerous situation and are constantly worried about being caught, they lose that sense of security. So kind of all these things made me wonder what I would choose to bring. And I thought it was interesting that they chose to bring money because I don't know that I would necessarily think about money being particularly important in that kind of situation where it's about, hard labor and making ends meet and working as a team, like when the women are working in the fields together. I just thought it was interesting that they still remembered, money is important even in this type of situation. And I think even all of this just kind of shows that they went from basically having everything they wanted to having not much at all. So I think this idea shows that they maybe appreciate what they have more. And an example of that is Maureen's book that she remembered to bring. In the book, it says that she waits to start reading it because she thinks to herself, what do I do when it's over? Because when it's over, there's nothing else left. There's no more entertainment. There's not another book. There's not a library nearby. That's it. So hopefully I think it kind of makes them appreciate what they used to take for granted and the comforts that they had before. such as cars and running water and shops in town and food. a couple times the book mentions that the children complain about their what they eat, which is basically like some sort of mush that they make. So I think hopefully the idea is that they appreciate more what they don't have. And I think they learn to appreciate things, smaller things too, as well, such as how when Bam makes a water basin for the entire village, so that way the women don't have to go down to, the river to get water. It's just small things, or using the car seats for a bed for the children. So it's kind of just showing the idea that they went from having so much to having so little and appreciating more, I think. So these ideas just kind of made me wonder several questions, what I would think. So what would be the most important thing for you to take if you were in their situation and you had to leave? What would you instantly think of as being extremely important? And what does a person's possessions say about them? For example, what they keep on them at all times and what they really put a lot of emphasis into. Yeah, those are the questions that I would ask and hope for you guys to respond to.